here we are with another natter that matters, and this one definitely matters. It's very close to my heart in many ways. I'd love to introduce the lovely Bonney, can't even say your name, I'm that excited, Bonney O'Connell, who is very close to my heart, as she's one of my closest friends. And also the subject and what she helps people with is close to many people's hearts, or actually in their heads where they're stuck. So thank you for being here today, darling Bonney.
Thank you for having me.
Very welcome. I've been trying to get you here for ages. I've been trying to get you on my Zoom for like, at least 3 years. But of course, you're very busy changing the world. So, and obviously having 4 children. So that's quite a big deal. So why don't you introduce yourself? So I'm sure you can do a better job than I can. And then we'll continue the conversation we nearly started before.
My name is Bonney. I am a 48-year-old, almost post-menopause woman, mum of 4 boys. I am a women's health coach. I also own a CrossFit gym with my business partner Greg in Northampton. We do CrossFit, Olympic weightlifting, yoga, Pilates, and we also have the movement clinic, which is, you know what it says, we work on people rehab. I do a lot of rehab, clinical massage, myofascial work, but my real passion is working with women. So I've been a women's health coach and specialised in sort of pre and postnatal. Now I do a lot of postnatal recovery in terms of people that have had C-sections, so scar work, post-operative hysterectomy and stuff like that, and the recovery and rehab around that. And I do a lot of work now with women that are peri to postmenopausal. I think that's because of the age that I'm at, and that's become quite something that I'm really passionate about at the moment. You know, looking at everything from their sleep habits to strength training and everything in between.
I love that you took a big deep breath before you said that, because there's a lot, and then I know there's other stuff that you haven't mentioned there. Olympic weightlifting, like it's just a thing, like popping down to the shop, milk, Olympic weightlifting, I love it. And I know you yourself, and obviously if you go and find Bonney, you'll find lots and lots of pictures of her doing said sport, all very impressive. I'm exhausted just looking at half of it, but yeah. So I know this is close to my heart as a 50-year-old woman who definitely has got I don't know, I think it was, I looked at a list of 30 different perimenopausal symptoms and had like 26 of them, and I thought, oh, maybe I'm not just pissed off with life, maybe I'm a bit menopausal. So yeah, I think it's a really important thing to do, isn't it? And part of that for me is joint pain, and I like, this is my own experience of it. So what happens is when you've got joint pain, for me, is I stop doing stuff. Of course, that's the worst thing I can do. So as soon as I stop moving around, I don't mean like, you know, Olympic lifting. No, I mean anything like, oh God, should I walk to the shop? Oh no, my legs hurt, I would go in the car. And of course, that seems to, this is my own experience, maybe you can help me understand it more, that's made it worse. Because then what's happened is I'm more and more sedentary, I've put on more weight, I feel less inclined to, it's had an effect on my own emotional mood and capability, and voila, 2 stone heavier. It's like, so I wonder how much of that is me and how much of that do you think is possibly perimenopause, is my question to you.
In terms of the joint pain, or the I think the thing is, you know, with the joint pain, joint pain on a physical level, the drop in estrogen, you know, which is, it happens obviously during that perimenopausal period, dropping estrogen, progesterone, as well as some of the other hormones such as testosterone and stuff. There are 400 plus roles that estrogen plays within the body, okay, which is why it's such a, you know, I don't want to use the word catastrophic, but such a big impact on women when that starts to drop off. You know, it affects everything from, you know, certain areas of your brain to to the joints in the body. There are estrogen receptors within the joints, and that is one of the reasons that you can feel that kind of, and I get that when I wake up in the morning and I'm kind of like, it's like they don't quite want to work and everything's a bit achy. And I can't remember the statistics on it, but that is one of the things that for a lot of peri to postmenopausal women stops them exercising as they were.
And I think it just of course I've got a wife who's 41, and so she'll say, well, we'll just walk there, it's not far. It's not about that. I said, I don't think it hurts, it genuinely hurts. And then you add being overweighting, because of course that has happened more and more, and I've always been overweight anyway, and then you get the mindset of it hurts. So before you know it, well, for me, I'm like, I just don't want to do it, and it's really been quite a trauma for me to get myself back into doing anything. I mean, anything at all, like movement wise, even like a dance class or swimming or anything, even, you know, more gentle stuff, as you know, because you've been very very kindly, checking in with me to see how I'm getting on. I won't call it ass kicking because, well, I know you're capable of that, but no, you have been kind of, you can do this, like that cheerleading, which has been very useful.
I think one of the biggest things is that, again, when you're in that perimenopausal place, is that your body is in a bigger state of inflammation. So you can be, in general, I don't just mean in terms of if you've got muscle soreness or you've hurt yourself and you've got an inflamed, so you've sprained your ankle and it's inflamed, in terms of inflammation within the body. And it's a real fine balance of, and I've changed a lot how I train now compared to how I did maybe 3 or 4 years ago, because my body just couldn't recover quickly enough, and I was feeling really rubbish. I wasn't progressing. I was feeling I wasn't as strong as I used to be, and I couldn't keep up with what I was doing before. And that your body, is balancing out the type of exercise. Like we talked about this the other day, is, it's great to do some sessions, whatever that is for you, where you're hammering it, working really hard, but you've got to balance that off with some restorative stuff. Because when you put your body into a state of stress, whether that's from, work, home stuff, kids, whatever it might be, or exercise, your body just recognizes stress. And produces cortisol. Cortisol hammers your body. There's also like a chemical breakdown in your body whereby cortisol is produced. The precursor to that, in terms of hormone wise, is also to do with estrogen and progesterone. And if you're in a real big state of stress, your body will just steal all this precursor, pregnenolone it's called, to make cortisol, because it wants the cortisol, it needs the cortisol. So there's quite a lot going on in terms of how we're exercising, what we're doing to manage stress. Sleep's massively important when we're in this kind of midlife phase, and nutrition, eating a diet that is not only healthy, nutritious, but also anti-inflammatory is something you can really do to help.
It's a lot, and it's a lot, especially when you've got like a fuddled brain, which comes with perimenopause as well. Most people don't understand what that even means. So I hear, because now we're in January, we're in that, eat healthily, drop weight, do this. It's like we're being bombarded with messages everywhere. And it's like, you've got to eat healthily. I went to my gym induction this morning, and very nice girl there. And she said, "Oh, are you eating healthily?" And I thought, do you know what? I'm not even going to answer it. I just said, yeah. Because I thought, what's that even mean? So her healthily will be not totally yours, different. Not mine, not somebody else's. And you've only got to go all over the socials, and everybody's saying, you've got the low carbers saying you shouldn't do this.
That, yeah. I think that I'm not a nutritionist, but I've got an amount of knowledge, and I think what's really important is finding what works for you. Like what works for me and makes me feel good and my body feel good and able to function is totally different to you and will be totally different to the next person. And I think when we get, particularly as a midlife woman, you are probably running around like a blue ass fly. You've got tons of responsibilities, you're short on time, you're probably not getting enough sleep, you've got brain fog that, I speak to women who, I've got a friend who is CEO of a charity, she's got a really, really big, super important job. And she says to me, sometimes I stand in meetings and I can't even remember what my name is or what I'm there to do. And I think that the implications of just I've got a bit of brain fog, the implications of that are massive. Like 38%, I think it is, of women leave their careers because of menopausal symptoms.
Wow, that is.
Yeah. And I think, like you say, you add then to it, I'm supposed to be eating healthy, drinking all the water, doing all the self-care. It becomes
trying to get rid of the physical symptoms, but the mental symptoms. And of course, obviously I help women with their mindset. So all my clients are pretty much in that age group. So what happens is they start to think they're going a bit nuts. They are like, they don't understand. They have like this. I truly believe this is the midlife crisis that's been talked about for donkey's years. It's that whole, I don't know, what's wrong with me? Why don't I want to do this anymore? Where's my sex drive gone? There's a lot of them that will talk
literally
about my drive, and with it goes their drive for everything. I don't like people anymore. I don't like things anymore. I don't like my business anymore. I don't like my career anymore. I can't stand my sister anymore. They literally almost like, it's like they become a new person, a different person they don't recognize.
You do, like, kind of, and this is why I think it's really, really important. Like if you do nothing else in regards of if you are 40 years old, even if you're younger than that, get informed, understand what's going on a biochemical level, right? Once you the bare bones of it are really quite simple, and once you understand that, you've just said it, after menopause you will be a different person. Everything has changed within your body on a biochemical level, and when you understand that and understand what happens when the hormones drop off and change, actually that's really powerful. Because a lot of the thing, like for me, and like I'll be honest, I had an amount of knowledge before I went into menopause, and I've worked in women's health for quite a long time, but it wasn't my area of interest because I wasn't at that age, and thought I had quite a while before I was going to be at that point. And I had an amount of knowledge, and I was expecting, given the people around me, I was expecting some brain fog, I was expecting a little bit of weight gain, I was expecting some hot flushes, thought I might have a dry vagina. That was literally it. And it hit me like a truck, to the point where I literally was exhausted one day. I had a lot of stress going on. I hadn't paid attention to my stress and how it was affecting me, and was just ignoring it. And I can juggle all the balls. And I literally fell over at work one day, and I thought I was having a breakdown. I went home and stayed at home for nearly 6 weeks, and thought I was giving up my business, and thought I was losing the plot. Went to the doctors, who offered me antidepressants. And I knew that wasn't right. I knew it wasn't that. I've had a breakdown before when my marriage broke down quite a number of years ago. I knew it wasn't that, but I knew I wasn't right. And just started literally, somebody that I'd done some training with previously, got on a training course about menopause, and then just spent weeks and weeks, the weeks I was at home educating myself. And I mean, I'm very fortunate that I was in a position where my business partner was able to say to me, go home and get better. What you need. And then when he literally one day came and got me and went, we're going out for coffee, when are you coming back into work? And I was like, I don't know if I am. And he was like, no, that's not an option, because we need you. But I think, a different situation, I don't know what I would have done. I was very fortunate I had the time, and I suppose a bit of understanding that I knew my body wasn't right, and I knew that my head wasn't right, but I knew it wasn't what the doctor was saying. I knew I wasn't having a breakdown. But I think, now I understand what's going on. And when I run courses, when I run some of my menopause workshops and stuff, like there was a women's health physio that I worked with years ago, and she used to say that women know more about their mobile phones than they do about their bodies. It's and true. That is so true. And also, if your phone breaks, if your mobile phone broke now, this minute, you would be out down the shop buying a new one like that.
I had the screen fixed on Wednesday. Yeah, absolutely did. Yeah, absolutely non-negotiable. Didn't matter how much it was. Yeah,
doesn't matter how much it is. But we will, and particularly as women, we keep going. We keep going. We keep doing. We're doing all the time, but we never kind of, we just ignore stuff. We ignore stuff. We get on with it, whatever it might be. And I really think that, this midlife, this perimenopause, the menopause, it's a turning point. It is a turning point, and you have a choice to lean into it and embrace it and do what you need to do, whatever that is for you, to accommodate your changing body and your changing mind, or you fall off the cliff. That's it. Yeah. I think that, sorry, I went on then loads, didn't I?
No, not at all. That's
quite passionate about this. And
women are passionate, and actually, I'm not saying it's all women, actually men as well. They're going through it as well. I've had quite a few clients who are like, all of a sudden my wife seems to hate me. She doesn't want to have sex with me. She doesn't want to go anywhere. I'm like, I get why. Help me. Let me help you understand that it's not you, because a lot of them men then think it's them. And they're actually not just men and women, same-sex relationships, unless there's two guys. They've got same going on. It's a really tricky situation. Another one of my clients was saying that her and her daughter have fallen out. Her daughter's like 19 and she's like 49, so there's a whole load of nightmare going on between those two, because the 19-year-old's in that space to trying to find out who she is and what she wants, and then they're like having a nightmare. So all the relationships change, and the one with yourself is the one that you probably have always relied on, even if you haven't liked it particularly. A sudden, like I literally about 3 weeks ago lost my shit at the printer. Like the printer wouldn't print, and I literally lost my shit. I can't even describe it anymore. I don't know what that anger was. I don't know where it came from. Normally I'd just be like, oh bloody thing, put it on and off. I try and get it in. I wasn't even in a hurry. There was no logical reason for me to lose my shit with it. I mean, was screaming. You know, I don't know if you've ever had it, I was screaming so hard that I gave myself a sore throat. I mean, I literally was like, yeah, I mean, I loved it. Like if I'd have been in a public place, people would have probably sectioned me. I literally was like, after that, but wow, who was that person? I don't even know who I was then.
But that is that a lot of the women that I work with, that rage that comes from nowhere about the most ridiculous thing is real. And there's, and I can't stress enough that if you have an understanding of what's happening inside your body, all of that, whilst it doesn't stop it makes sense.
Yeah,
it does.
I didn't think, oh my God, I was like, what is that? And I was like, well, actually, that was not something from inside of me. I don't even know what that was.
I don't know what that was.
On a regular basis, otherwise I'd have no clients. They'll be running for the hills. But the strangest things. And so on the other hand of that is the just crying randomly at stuff that I wouldn't normally find that emotional, like on the TV and stuff, or just real, like that. It's like the whole, I suppose, once I started to understand from you, actually more than anyone, that hormones are the thing. And then I remember being 14. I remember the hormonal trauma that went on then with skin and everything, where that's when the estrogen's coming, I would imagine. That's when it arrives. Causes havoc when it arrives, and it causes havoc when it fucks off, basically. And
basically.
We get over being like, we have to have all the stuff that goes with it. So so what are your top tips then, Bonney? I know that you run things, so please tell us about those, but also give us afterwards some top tips.
So I think in terms of what the big sort of 4 things that I will look at your stress level, and I think that I'm really big on, there is no point, most of the women that I work with, there is no point me saying, like, we've got to reduce your stress, blah blah blah. You've got to, it's that there are, what strategies can you put in place to help regulate your stress? What are you doing to regulate your stress? So whether that's, are you doing some breath work? I do a lot of breath work with people because it's really easily accessible, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and I use it a lot myself, particularly if I'm going to get that rage, if I'm stood in a queue, or I've got a bit of, for your road rage, it'd be good. You can access the breath.
The 2 things so far.
What can you do to reduce your or manage your stress level? What is your sleep like? A lot of women experience, whether it's insomnia or waking up in the night, or waking up too early, or getting better sleep. What's your sleep
multiple times? That's the one. Yes.
How can we get the best quality sleep? What does your nutrition look like? As I've talked about, anti-inflammatory diet, really great at this point. Unfortunately, things like alcohol, caffeine, a lot of things that have got we could start talking about xenoestrogen and stuff, and how they're like endocrine disruptors. But what's your nutrition like? Are you drinking enough water? Are you drinking, she's going to get the water now. Yes, she is. Yes, you are. What does your nutrition look like?
The one with the time on it, game changer.
What does your nutrition look like? And the other one is, how are you moving? What's your exercise program? Is it, are you trying to do the same thing as you did when you were 25 at 45? Because it's probably not relevant.
That's what my breakdown.
And I think a lot of, we lose a lot of muscle mass, and you need to be strength training, whatever that looks like for you. Your strength training is going to be different to my strength training. And I think that doing the right type of exercise for you can make you feel so much better about your body. Because I think that's the other thing, is there's such a big change in how your body feels. You've perhaps always had a flat stomach, but now you're carrying some weight around your middle. The tone of your body changes in terms of your skin and stuff. And I think that making sure you're doing the right type of exercise to feel good in your body, to feel strong, to build some strength, and also some stuff that helps regulate your nervous system. That's it.
It's interesting because I posted a video this morning because I went and did a dance class last night and it didn't go well. And I used to be a dancer. So for me, it'd be like you trying to weightlift and going, actually, I can't do it anymore. For me, it was like a real moment of realization of how unfit I was, how fat I was, how old I like. It was a real combination of this young, feisty. Actually, she wasn't that young. She was probably in her mid-30s, I would imagine. It's not like she was a 20-year-old. But actually, that realization, and I sat there having a complete reality check, and I realized that actually some of the steps I have taken are taking me in this direction, and I need to realize who I am now, and it's not that anymore. But also that I wish I'd carried on with you when I came to your CrossFit gym about 100 years ago. I don't know how long ago it was, 5 years maybe.
Yeah, it must be.
And I didn't work out then. I look back at that version of myself and who was like, oh my God, this is too much for me. And I think, God, I wish I'd had the mindset I've just managed to get myself in the last 24 hours then, because 5 years ago, it was just my mindset that was a bit dodgy. My physicality had a few aches and pains, but not like now. And I definitely wasn't as heavy. So I just wish I'd started then. And there's no person on the planet that says, oh, I was sorry I started that. No, they're all like, I wish I had started it. There's not anybody on the planet. And I'm thinking, think of it now, like I could just give up and I could have just not gone to that dance class again. Instead, I've booked it again. And I'm like, you're going to go again and you're going to see, you're going to do a lower impact version of it. You're not going to judge yourself so much. And actually, I remember years ago, somebody saying they didn't move their hips very well. And as somebody who used to do, ballroom dancing, the hip movement is everything. And I never understood it. Of course, I sit here a lot of the time now, and my hip movement, that was the thing that upset me, I think, more than anything, is we were doing loads of, I was like, everything was moving. I'm like, well, this isn't how it should look. And I did this kind of comparison with, very different people in the room. And I thought, oh, I'm not suggesting they're good at it, or they've got great rhythm or great figures, but they can actually get that range of movement. And I did a video this morning on it in my group, and a woman put there, it keeps sitting with me. And she put on there, I don't really know her even. Actually, it's great when that moment of realization comes where you're doing it for how you feel and not how you look. And I thought that is exactly it, because I didn't look at myself and go, oh, I want to look like I did. No, I want to feel. It was about everything was moving.
Yeah.
It was like I hadn't got that moment of awareness without seeing myself do that in a mirror, because I wouldn't have stood in front of a mirror and danced at home. And maybe I should. That'll give me some motivation. I've got plenty of them. But actually, that moment of, oh, actually, everyone else is able to do this. They're not doing it well, but I can't do it. Yeah. I'm smart. I'm almost so immobile and overweight that I've lost the capacity. And for me, that was the end. That was like, that's not negotiable for me anymore. It's not about, oh, you can just eat this and get this, the kind of cheating diets and all that. It was like, yeah, I don't want to feel like that anymore. And that's what I feel like at 50. Imagine if I don't do it now. And I think back 5 years ago, I think, I don't want to look back at this version of myself and say exactly the same. So I'm really glad there's people like you that don't shame people who are in that space, or don't, because we've all done stuff that we regret. Some of it is partners, some of it is businesses and careers and friendships, and some of it is how we've looked after our body. And I definitely the rest of my life has been beautiful. That part has always been the part that I've been struggling with, whereas some people struggle with their career or their love life and they've got a fantastically fit body. So we've all got parts of our life that we have a bit of a struggle with. I'm not saying anything. So we have got parts of our life we struggle with. I suppose mine's more visible than some people's, because they can look at me and make a judgment, whereas actually if it's emotional, we can't normally see that. So it's quite a different kind of way. So I'm very glad. So how can people do some work with you, Bonney? What you've got going on? You can work several ways with me. I do online. I run online sort of programs and workshops. Do a 6-week online menopause program. That's kind of like an introduction to the menopause, and we look at those sort of 4 big things that I talked about. We also do like a vision statement, and basically how you want to navigate this part of your life. I really think that we have a plan for so many things, but we don't often plan for things that are happening to us. I also do want that on a one-to-one basis. I do a lot of pelvic floor and core recovery. So I run a session called Pelvic Floor and Core Recovery, which is for I need something a bit snappier, but which is basically, again, that's either online. I do that online in group, or I do that one-to-one in person, and that's basically for any and every woman, whether you've been diagnosed with a sort of a low-level prolapse, whether you've got kind of some stress incontinence, if you're sneezing and you're leaking, or you're exercising and you're leaking, or you've perhaps had kids and you haven't quite recovered in terms of feeling that your pelvic floor is great, or that your core strength is great, and that's about getting you back in touch with your body and getting those things under control. And you do see, and this is something that I think is really relevant, a lot of women who haven't had any pelvic floor issues, and by pelvic floor issues I don't just mean wetting yourself, obviously stress incontinence or urge incontinence is one part of that, but things like painful sex, 98% of women with low back pain have got pelvic floor dysfunction. You can get
vaginismus, which is where you get like basically your pelvic floor cramps. That could be horrible. There's a lot of stuff going on there, and that's kind of aimed at that type of person. If you've got stuff like that going on, I do hands-on work, so I do scar work and C-section or post-operative stuff, and that comes along with the rehab stuff. What else do I do? You can work
Itchy's the other one. If you notice me through this, I'm itchy ears, like
itchy ears. There are like, I think there's something like now menopausal wise, there's something like there was 38 symptoms, there's now like about 1 billion symptoms that they reckon, but itchy ears is one. Yeah,
itchy ears plus me absolutely nuts. I think I must look like I've got fleas or something. I'm like continuously scratching my face, like I'm itchy for no reason whatsoever. Thank you for that. And I'm listening to that list of things and think, oh, I haven't got it so bad really, because I haven't got any of those things. So actually, I'm not going to be bad.
Also, the strength training, like I'm a big advocate of strength training. If you're not doing any strength training at this point in time, that doesn't necessarily mean lifting loads of heavy weights, but something that is building some muscle and working muscles, do some strength training. I do offer online programming for that, or I'm happy to have a chat with somebody if they don't know where to start with any kind of strength training. Happy to just have a chat with somebody about that, because I think that as a midlife woman, if you're not doing that, you're missing a trick.
Yes, absolutely, as have I been until now. Yes. So thank you for that. I'll probably take you up on that myself. And if you follow the links under here, you should be able to find Bonney. So Bonney, if you can send me some of those links, so I can do what I've just said and put them under there. I wonder if it might be useful for you to come back and talk to us about other stuff at some point, I would imagine.
Maybe if people have got like a specific topic, whether it's kind of menopause related, whether it's pelvic health, whether it's general women's stuff, whether it's strength training, I don't know whether
I'm just being very, very selfish here, because the strength training for me is a very important one, because in my head, having dated competitive bodybuilders back in the day, strength training meant like massive weights and eating tuna. That basically is what I remember from it. And in my
tuna. Yeah.
Weightlifting, tuna and raw broccoli. I just remember that is all you get. So I just, in my head, I was like, strength training, I don't want big muscles. I think I think I'm pretty stereotypical in that way, that I think a lot of women think, oh, I don't want to do that, I don't want to look like a bodybuilder.
Yeah, you are being brutally honest, like to build big muscles takes a lot of effort and a lot of time. As women, we're not genetically designed to build a lot of muscle mass. Strength training means loading your muscles. So for some people, strength training is just, for example, I've got a lady that I work with who is 70, she's about 78. She is osteoporotic, so got osteoporosis, and strength training for her is we do stuff like sitting and standing from a chair, and we do like she'll do a press with a band. It's all relative to the individual. Her strength training is going to look very different to my strength training, or very different to strength training of a girl who's like 18. It really depends. But that I'm happy to talk about that, because I think women do get scared of it. I've had being really honest, I've literally had people say to me, I want to do some strength training, but I don't want to look like you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the opposite. I'd love to look like you. I'd give anything to look like you. Actually, anything but being in the gym every day, of course, for the last 30 years. So that would have made me probably look like you. But no, you look amazing at all times. I'm glad I mentioned it then, because there will be people probably listening, watching this and thinking, oh, strength training. But actually, it is very different. I had a bit of a wake-up call when I ran my last retreat, and there was a girl on it called Janine, who was a model. And at breakfast, she was kind of doing these stretchy things. And I said to her, with my own mindset around fitness at the time, it is changing, oh, you're doing exercise before breakfast? And she just looked up at me with her beautiful face and she said, this isn't exercise, I'm just moving. And I just had this moment of, oh, they're different, that's crazy. Like, what, in my head everything's hardcore exercise. It wasn't, she was just moving, stretching. Like, I'm like, God, I don't even do that. That was my,
I think the other thing as well is like, we spend, especially since the whole like COVID thing, how much of our time do we spend sitting or not moving in our bodies? Whether you want to go to the gym, you want to play tennis, you want to do sport or exercise, you need to move to keep your body fit, well, working. You need to move, and whether that's going to the gym or whether it's just getting up and going for a walk, or it is just doing some random movement, your body is designed to move. And I guarantee to you that however rubbish you feel, if you just get up and move a little bit, you'll feel better.
Absolutely, which is a state change, which I teach in NLP. So absolutely is. You know, if you're doing jumping jacks, the other thing you've probably seen this everywhere, you can't be miserable.
No,
Your face, physicality is moving. You cannot be depressed and miserable while doing jumping jacks. So, like, yeah, just get up and move is absolutely the thing that everybody should do. When
there's a lot of so there's when you do high intensity stuff. So if you're doing short bursts of high intensity stuff, there's something called brain derived neurotrophic factor that is made in your brain, and that actually helps with your brain function and memory. That's another conversation to have, but yeah, if you're struggling with brain fog,
we'll have that conversation. Lots of conversations to be had. And thank you so much for this one. And I'm just going to add a positive on the end of perimenopause, which is where I am, is the benefits of this are you care quite a lot less about a lot of things as well.
Oh my God.
So I don't know if that, like, I don't care whether people like me quite so much. I don't care if a friend doesn't want to be friends with me anymore. I'm like, okay, well, thanks for the friendship. It was lovely. I don't care if I reach out to somebody and they say no. Like, I care a lot less about. I don't care whether I've got mascara on coming for a meeting. I don't care whether my hair looks perfect.
Very freeing. It's very freeing. You are a different person, and I would say that's exactly it. I just always say to people, I just give less fucks now. I just give less fucks. I keep my fucks for something really important.
Yeah, like strength training and good nutrition, so that actually I can live longer. Listen to me, whoosh, drops the mic. Just want it in case we have people who are not in that state having a little moment around, oh my God, is this what's going to happen to me? It's not all doom and gloom, but I do wish I'd started early. It's a bit like when people talk about skincare, isn't it? Like, it's no good when you've got wrinkles already. It's
I think, I think that it doesn't, and it really doesn't matter. Like, I exercise all the time, but it's my job. Like, it's my job, and it keeps I love it. It's my passion. It's what I do. I love getting people moving, blah 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 blah. It does not matter what you do. It matters that you start doing something. And what if that is walking around the block today, or standing up and down from your chair 10 times to start something? It's just start. Doesn't matter where, doesn't matter how many times you start. If you do something for a week and then you stop for a week and then you've got to start again, just keep doing something. That's it.
Yeah. Brilliant. Just do something.
Just do something.
Thank you very much, Bonney. It's been an absolute pleasure, as one assumed it would be, as it always is. It'd be lovely to invite you back to talk about strength training or anything else. So if you're watching this, put a comment under here if there's anything you want to ask Bonney. She'll come back round and answer them, and also it'll give us a clue if there's anything else you want us to cover as a topic on a future A Natter that matters. Thank you very much.